Yeah, I was looking around just at little state news here and there, and I actually should have brought this up a couple of weeks ago, but there were several articles posted locally around in Texas as well, Adam, of saying like, no, sports betting is not legal here. It's still not legal here and whatever. And it was basically, look, it was just talking to some local representatives and basically saying like, hey, what the hell, what's going on? A lot of them saying like, yes, we know there's a push where we obviously won't have a chance to do this again for another couple of years. But there was at least a little bit of work being done internally in Texas. And I don't know if this was planted by anyone or if these are people just kind of doing it on their own, but basically putting out there like, no, there is no legal betting in Texas, no matter what you might see or what is going on out there. And I thought that was at least fairly interesting, right? Because all it takes is a quick Google search of Texas sports betting. And while you will find legal sports report at the top of your Google search, by the way, a couple down, you find 10 best Texas sports books, a list from some site out there that whatever. And all that. So again, it's just one of those deals where we keep talking about Texas, but it's like, guys, it's happening regardless, right? Like you're literally just beating your head against the wall here for no reason. You need to get it done.
So let's talk a little bit more about Texas because Prize Picks signed a deal with the Dallas Stars of the NHL. And our Mike Mazzio talked to the president of the Dallas Stars and basically said, hey, Prize Picks has had some issues with state regulators of late. Like, how was this deal vetted? And I thought his answer was very interesting to say, yeah, it took us a while for our lawyers to get comfortable with this. And this also went through the lawyers at the league office. This was a process over the course of months for us to consider whether this is something we wanted to do. They ultimately came away comfortable with where things are in the regulatory structure in Texas right now. And I think what's important to note is there really isn't a regulatory structure in Texas when it comes to these things right now. And as those operators, Prize Picks and Underdog, have had to at least temporarily pull out of Florida, and as the California opinion looms in the next few months, and as we've seen New York, which fined Prize Picks $15 million for operating without a license, Texas becomes the last jewel when it comes to the large population states, when it comes to both the fantasy sports landscape and, as you mentioned, Matt, the sports betting landscape. Now, for sports betting purposes, it is the same song that we have sung in the past. The lieutenant governor has probably the most power of any lieutenant governor I've ever seen anywhere in the state of Texas as the president of the Senate. And Dan Patrick,
he's basically like governor number two. I mean, like he literally just like he just like slams the hammer down. He's like, "This is what's happening in this state." Like,
yes, I'll spare you my bad Dr. Evil number 2 impression. Say it's pretty much that. It's Robert Wagner. No, it's actually Dan Patrick in Texas, who is the president of the Senate, and as he did in 23, he's able to control what legislation makes it down to the floor and gets a vote in the Senate. We saw the House pass sports betting in Texas in 23, and then it never went anywhere in the Senate. Of course, it will be next year before that has another opportunity to come around. But Matt, as you mentioned, if we're going to see some beginning of a groundswell when it comes to the discussion of this, we already talked about the Adelson-Cuban deal and what that could mean for the future of casino gambling in Texas. Mark Cuban said he isn't as interested in sports betting as he is in casino, but there are going to be smart people who try to attach sports betting to casino as a way to get sports betting through when there are these powerful billionaire interests who are interested in casino gaming. So Texas, over the next, I'll look at my calendar here, 12 to 18 months will probably be the most fascinating market in the country to watch.
It really will. And one thing to mention there too, just again, you talk about the interests of people, and it was probably such a small investment that it doesn't really matter anyway. I don't know what the valuation of the company would be today as it is, but one of the original investors of Underdog was Mark Cuban. So he was one of the original investors in Underdog. So where does that all fit into play here as well? Again, I don't know the valuation of the company. I don't know how much he invested. I don't have any idea, and whether he even cares about that anymore or not, but something else that just muddies the water just a tad, just a little bit more there. Why not? We muddy the waters in Texas just a little bit more while we're at it. Of course, guys, everything we do absolutely free here. So please go in, subscribe, rate, review. Do appreciate all of your help with all of this. If this is over on the YouTube side, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe over there as well. For Adam, I'm Matt. Talk to you guys next week.